the book Metamorphosis by Ovid, there are many tales of disfigurations and transformations. One such tale is the story of Arachne, the first spider to come into existence. Arachne began her human life as the daughter of a modest man in Lydia. She spent her time honing her gift of weaving beautiful tapestries, and as the years went by, her skills became beyond great. So great that Arachne began to claim that her skills were far superior than the skills of the goddess Minerva, Athena. In Greek and Roman mythology, mortals were always punished severely for offending the gods. Minerva is known to be the goddess of wisdom, warfare, and weaving. Understandably, the goddess did not like to hear that this mortal was claiming to have better skills than her in her own domain. Arachne was warned by the townspeople to forfeit these foolish claims of glory. The town told the proud woman to pay her proper respects to the goddess. They asked her to at least claim that she received some of her skills from the blessings and good grace of Minerva, but still, Arachne refused. Now in disguise as an old lady, Minerva approached Arachne and warned her of the consequences of disrespecting the gods. Minerva, as an elderly woman, told the weaver that she can cleanse herself of the goddess's anger if she can ask for forgiveness. Arachne held her opinion firm and claimed that she would challenge and beat Minerva in a weaving contest if she could. At that very moment, the goddess removed her disguise as an old lady and revealed her true glorious self. The nymphs and townspeople gasped in awe as the goddess appeared before them. They bowed down and praised the goddess as one does before a golden immortal. Though the Lydian weaver felt panic in her being upon seeing the goddess, rage and stubbornness entered back into Arachne's spirit, and she held firm to contest the goddess of weaving. Thus, the appearance of Minerva granted Arachne her wish of challenging the great goddess. With the looms in place and the contenders in the seats, the woman and goddess got to work. Both women began to move their fingers with elegance and speed as they created beautiful pieces of art. Side by side, they worked in great swiftness as the town watched. Using royal purples and golden threads, Minerva began to recreate history. Minerva replicated the beauty of life as when the sunshine falls on a rainy day and reflects hundreds of glittering rays. Minerva depicted the judgment of Jupiter as he judged the contest between herself and her uncle Neptune. 12 gods rested next to Jupiter as Minerva and Neptune had a showcase of abilities to see who should be the founder of the new unnamed city. Neptune, before the gods, slammed his mighty trident into the ground and opened up the waters and earth. From the fissure sprang a handsome horse which Neptune showcased. In a time frame where horses were used for battle, the god of sea proclaimed that this would be his gift to man if he is named Lord of the city. Up next, Minerva, with her plumed helmet, aegis on her chest, and spear in her hand, slammed the weapon into the earth. Then, as the gods watched, out sprang an olive tree. This was her offering for the citizens of the city. An olive tree, which symbolizes nourishment and comforting environment for the mortals on land. Jupiter decreed that Minerva is the winner of this contest, and so the town should be named after her. Now, with Jupiter's brother losing to his daughter, Jupiter gave the name of Athens to the newfound city. In the four corners of the tapestry, Minerva wove images of mortals being humbled by the gods for their arrogance. Bordering the entire work of art was beautiful olive branches which encased the godly craft in all of its glory. So Minerva wove wonderful images of the gods completing impossible feats, showcasing their powers and talents and humbling humans who step out of line. Arachne, on the other hand, had different images in mind. Arachne wanted to make an argumentative statement. Therefore, she portrayed the gods in their most lustful moments, defiling humans. Arachne depicted Jupiter in the shape of a bull when he took Europa across the sea from her hometown. The young maiden was resting on the bull's back in the middle of the water, afraid to touch the cold sea as she looked back at her homeland. Afterwards was the story of Jupiter swooping down as a swan seducing Leda, the mother of Helen of Troy. Next, she wove the sisters of Leto and mother of Hecate, Asteria, as she threw herself into the ocean to avoid the lust of the king of gods. To escape her attacker, in the form of an eagle, Asteria turned into a bird and then into an island, whereupon Leto gave birth to Apollo and Diana. Jupiter was shown to be in disguise as a satyr in order to attack and impregnate Antiope. Subsequently, Arachne wove the images of the great god pretending to be the husband of Alcmena in order to seduce her. Together, the god of gods and the granddaughter of Perseus, against the will of Juno, conceived Hercules. Jupiter was shown in his form of a golden shower glistening over the lovely Danae, the mother of Perseus, in his pursuit to be with her. Aegina was portrayed being kidnapped by Jupiter as an eagle and being taken to an island that was named after her. Mnemosyne, the goddess of memory and the mother of the nine muses, was also being seen being taken by the leader of the gods. Finally was Proserpina, being victim to these lustful advances. Arachne wove the lustful deeds of Neptune, Apollo, Bacchus, and Saturn, the father of Chiron. These actions were brought to attention by Arachne's lifelike fabric and colors. Finishing her web of sticky stories, the weaver interlaced ivy leaves and flower pattern to border her masterpiece. The goddess of weaving, warcraft, and wisdom now spectated upon Arachne's work and was angered by what she saw. Minerva saw no flaw in the mortal's beautiful weaving. Now consumed by red rage, the goddess tore up her opponent's artwork to shreds. Still unsatisfied, Minerva grabbed her wooden weaving tool and struck Arachne on the head. Humiliated by this, Arachne grabbed the cord and decided to hang herself. Minerva, not feeling bad for the skillful woman, decided to reward and punish Arachne at the same time. The goddess proclaimed that the mortal shall live again, but only to live on hanging from a cord as she died. Arachne and her descendants must spend the entirety of their lives weaving webs and hanging from heights. Thus, Minerva sprinkled the dead woman with a concoction of Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft. Upon feeling the potion, the corpse began to reanimate with new breath in her lungs and a beat in her heart. The reborn Arachne began to change shape as she shrunk down and turned black. The fingers of her hands collapsed into her ribs and became the many thin legs for weaving. Thus, the skilled Lydian received a second chance at life, only to spend her whole life weaving. This story is one which teaches the importance of modesty and humility. Though having a great skill is a useful tool to have in life, one must never let their skill inflate their ego. Being humble and down to earth shall always be a priority when discovering one's gift, as it is a skill itself.